India 10 years back wouldn't probably have got as much of world attention as it is getting today. If you look at foreign investment flows, clearly India has been in the radar of foreign investors now as much as probably any other emerging market would be. And it's also influencing India's position politically in the global context. India having the high seat in the G20 table. The fact is that such a large economy in the global context cannot be ignored anymore, and an economy which is not only growing very fast but also doing the right kind of steps of opening up the economy, reforming the domestic markets, and has a huge potential. And that's why when we speak to investors, clearly what comes out is that they're very keen to participate in the India growth story. Sometimes we just talk about inward FDI in India and how rapidly it has grown, but what also is very interesting to observe is India's outward FDI towards the rest of the world. Indian businesses are now not only satisfied with a large domestic footprint, but realize that if they want to be global players, then they have to get a larger market share in the global space, and that's why they're keen to go outside India. There are certain incentives provided by the government which helps them, and also the fact that they now understand the global business better, they understand the global economic dynamics better, they have the confidence. Indian business is now more comfortable looking at the short-term ups and downs of the global economy, taking it in their stride. They are more comfortable with understanding the dynamics of a global business, understanding the regulations of different countries, the peculiarities, the local flavor, and that's why they are becoming increasingly global focused. They also understand that if the kind of products that they have developed over the years, which Indian markets have lapped up, they are suitable for even similar kind of emerging markets as well. And that's another reason why we are expecting and observing Indian business to go global, both through FDI outward as well as exports. Let's not forget that we are now a more than $300 billion export economy, where just 10 years back this was 1/7 of what we are. Our own sense is that India is in some kind of a super cycle today. So over the next 20 years, our view is that India is likely to cross even the US in terms of the total market size, or come very close to where US is, and possibly just only be behind China in terms of the overall GDP. The per capita GDP of India, it took India 33 years to move from $100 per capita to $500 per capita, but in just about 9 years we have moved from that $500 to $1,500 now. So this per capita GDP growth is going to be even stronger going forward, where India's per capita GDP growth could per capita GDP could come closer to $5,000, $6,000 by the end of 2030, and that would propel India really to the big league. We have a huge population here, so with a relatively higher per capita GDP, the overall market size is going to be so large that India's influence in the global economy would be directly proportionate to that. While most of the world is aging, India's population is still very young. Just to give a perspective, at this point of time in US, the number of pensioners are more than the number of people working in the private sector. As opposed to that, roughly half of India's population is below 25 years old. So this kind of a demographic advantage is going to flow over the next 20 years, where the expectation is that 1 out of 3 working age group population people in the world will come from India. in our view, India will add about 13 to 15 million people to its workforce every year over the next 20 years. And that's something which is, if harnessed properly, then this is really a demographic dividend. These things come probably once in a century to a country's economy. So we should not waste this opportunity. This is a one-time opportunity we are going to get, and we have to make the most out of it. So part of the 1991 reforms was more to do with stabilization of the economy, getting the macro stabilization measures right, and part of it was structural reforms, which were mostly to do initially with output market reforms, liberalizing the license Raj system. Then in late 1990s, early 2000, we got a spate of reforms coming in the form of opening up the economy and a lot of financial sector reforms. So in combination with the output market reforms, financial market reforms, and opening up the economy, we got the stage right for the 9% average GDP that we saw between 2004 to 2008. In our view, what we require now is input market reforms and institutional reforms. If we can get these two pieces into place, when I say input market reforms, I mean land, labor, all kinds of natural resources, reforms on these, and institutional reforms in the form of judicial reforms, political reforms, bureaucratic reforms. If we get these two along with the three kind of reforms that we have already done, then possibly we are setting the stage for the next high growth phase. Over the next 10 years, infrastructure will be key for growth. The way we like to put it is that it's not infrastructure which is required for growth, infrastructure is growth. The process of creating this infrastructure itself will give us maybe close to 9% growth, but to get this piece right, the kind of input market reforms and institutional reforms I was talking about, those things need to be put in place first. Consumption pattern in India has changed very rapidly. If you look at the trends in the non-food consumption, that has increased very substantially, whereas food consumption as a share of total consumption has come down. This has partly happened because of the rapid rise in per capita income. As I was mentioning, it took 33 years to move from $100 per capita to $500 per capita, but just 5 years to move from $500 to $1,000, and 4 years to move from $1,000 to $1,500 per capita. So typically we have seen that in $500, $1,000, $1,500 per capita, there is some kind of a paradigm shift in the type of consumer items that people have in their basket. So India is going through that paradigm shift in consumption, and what's aiding it also is a completely chaotic urbanization process. In the last 10 years, India has created 2,750 new towns, which is one town every working day of the week. This urbanization process is where these small towns are mimicking the consumption of the bigger towns because of advent of communication technology. They can very easily mimic what the metro consumption pattern is, and that's why we see that you get a pizza store almost every part of the country you go to, whereas pizza is not the common cuisine for us. So that way also we are probably mimicking consumption patterns of countries outside India, and it's a very different consumption story where our sense is that this is going to be a very big driver of economic growth going forward. The critical thing about the FDI issue is that most of the investors understand the importance of India in terms of its market size, in terms of its growing importance over the next decade, how it will have on the global economy. The challenge really is to follow all the regulations regarding FDI in India and understand the local dynamics That's why most FDI investors prefer partnering with one of their Indian counterparts. So we've seen most of FDI come in brownfield investments rather than in greenfield investments. And also it's the fact that increasingly Asian countries from Japan, Korea, Middle East, Southeast Asia, who are feeling more comfortable about investing in India because culturally it's easier for them to operate in India. What explains the resilience is the India story. The India story, in our view, is still quite an attractive story for FDI investment. It's a long-term view that FDI investors are taking. So the short-term hiccups that we are going through often do not play a very major role in shaping their decisions. India runs an investment gap. India's overall investment to GDP ratio is lower than India's savings to GDP ratio. So as a corollary, India needs foreign capital. So the message needs to go out very clearly that India is open to investment, foreign investment of any kind, be it FDI, FII, etc. So in a way, FDI will be critical in driving investment growth in this country if we want to achieve 8-9% growth rates.